So I want to record a little video here to give you some advice for college. So this advice is going to be for college students, ideally new students, or even for people that are about to begin in college. So you're almost there, but not yet. So most of it is going to be for students that are already in college, but I'm going to begin with some pieces of advice for people that are not there yet and that want to go to the university. So, okay, first I'm going to tell you about knowing what is best for you. So before you begin with a major and with the classes for the major and with the classes at the university, before you begin that path, I strongly recommend that you do research and you do, certain things to be able to know what you enjoy more in terms of work, also in terms of fun, in terms of hobbies, because that can also help you to understand what you enjoy more in terms of work. And also you need to understand, basically you need to understand yourself better and know what you enjoy more so that you can then focus on learning more about that in such a path. And that's how you know how to pick a good major for yourself. So what do I recommend for this? If you don't know where to start, you can get first one of those books that actually helps you with that. There are some classes at some universities that help you there are classes for freshmen, basically, to help you pick a major or to help you realize what is the best major for you and that kind of thing. If there's that kind of class and you're already there at the university, I recommend you choose that as one of your electives. Pick that class, even if you think that you already know your path. Taking a class on that is beneficial for anyone. If you're not there yet, what I recommend is that you basically get one of those books that help you with that. I took a look at several of those books, and this one, which is You Major in What? Mapping Your Path from Chaos to Career by Catherine Brooks. This is how it looks. This is the one that I found, in my opinion, is the one that seemed like the most useful. I didn't read the entire book, but I read half of it. And there are others I've also read part of those books. And that's the one that I found the most useful. So I recommend that you get it and read it. I also recommend that you get one of those books that basically give you a personality test. So, a Myers-Briggs personality test that tells you what personality type based on those tests you are, and they give you a lot of ideas of things that type enjoys, things that you may like more than others. So that is just to know more about yourself, not to pick a career or a path or classes or something based on the personality type. That's just to know a little bit more about yourself. So one book that I recommend for that, which I don't have here with me right now, is Life Types. It's an old book, but it's pretty good. I think the author was Sandra Krebs. I'm not completely sure about that right now, but I believe it was. So you can get that one from Amazon, pretty cheap. This one I show you right now, You Major in What, is the best of the books that I saw in that category, however, so I recommend that. If you're not sure about your major, about what you want, obviously the other way to know is trying things out. How do you know if you like something that is creative? Doing that activity and seeing how much you enjoy it and seeing how good you are at that activity, how well it fits with who you are. And the same for every path. The same, if you're gonna go into a technical route, get yourself 2 or 3 books to learn more about that and see if you enjoy that. Do some personal projects in that area from those books to see if you really enjoy that. Obviously you're gonna find out about that when you have the classes, but if you can find out about that on your own even before you have that class, it will be even better. So yes, I strongly recommend that you dedicate time. If you're already in college, you will have to do it, You can do it right now. Don't wait longer for that. If you're not there yet, then that would be the ideal time, right now. Dedicate some time to understanding, among the professional fields that you can go into, among the professional activities or tasks that you can do, which are the ones that fit better with you, which are the ones that you are better at, which are the ones that you do better in, and the ones that you enjoy more. So you can begin to think about what is the best major for you, which are the best classes, even before you get there and you're forced to begin picking classes and going with a path. I even recommend that if you're not sure about that and you think it may take you some time, I recommend that you even take 1 semester off to figure all that out. And when I say 1 semester off, I don't mean take a vacation. I mean take that time to begin working towards figuring out what you like best. You could do it right after the end of high school, or you could actually take 1 semester at the university and take the 2nd semester off and do it then at that point, or take the first summer off and dedicate that summer to see. But I recommend doing it at the beginning, first semester or even before you start, because that way you won't waste any of those electives and you will be able to choose those electives wisely based on what you think is going to be best. So it's going to help you even more to realize whether it is the best choice or not. Okay, the other advice I have for people before they begin college is know the place, know the college. Like if you don't have any choice and you only have one university that you can go to, well, you don't have any choice. You have to go there. But if you have several choices, more than one, if you're not restricted by the how much it costs, because that will definitely restrict many of us. Depending on the cost, some people can only pick 1 or 2 colleges or 3. They have to pick among those. But if you have more choices, make sure that you pick the best one for you among the choices. And how do you know that? How do you know that for sure? That there are these tours that you can go to, but the tours, when you go there, you need to understand that the tour is being given by someone that works for the university. So they will show you a wonderful place no matter what. If you go and check the university on your own, and you go like during a weekend or during a vacation day or during a day that there are not many people, you may look at the place and you may think it is a wonderful place, but it is empty. So you don't know what it is really like. The only way that you can begin having some idea of what that university or that college is really like is if you go by yourself there and you basically give yourself a self-tour, look at the place during a school day when it is full of people, so that you will be able to see not just the place and how it looks like and how beautiful those buildings are, but also the culture there. How does a typical day at that university looks like? How is the culture? How are the people? How will it be like there when you're there during a typical day? Because that's what it's going to be like. So what I recommend is that you go to these universities one by one during school days when they are full. If you do that, you're going to realize and you're going to find out things that you wouldn't find out otherwise. Like, for example, if there are problems with the parking, you're going to realize that during a school day in the middle of the day, because you won't be able to find parking. And you can figure that out and find out about that even before you're a student there. Obviously, if you're not a student there, make sure that you park in the visitors parking. Otherwise, you can get a ticket, of course. But I strongly recommend that you go during a day that is full of people, full of classes, like middle of the day. Like you should go, like 12, 1 p.m. so you can even check out the dining places at the university and how full they are. You can see who are the people that stay there to have food. You can get to know the place better, not by seeing the place empty of people, but by seeing the place full of people. because those are the people that are typically there. And by the way, this is true not only for university, this is true for anywhere else. Like if you're gonna relocate for some place, if you're gonna go to some work center, some job center, it's true for any place. It's true for any place. When you can go there and you see all the people that live there, or that go there every day, or that work there and stay there for whatever they do, you're gonna get to know the place much better. And that's how you know which university is best for you and what place is best for you. By getting to know the place full of the people that go there every day and that are there every day. I didn't do this. I found out that when I was there my first semester, my second semester, and I think it would have been great if I had done that. And who knows, maybe between the two choices that I had, I might have picked the other choice. But you know, you have to learn from experience. I'm telling you this from experience. So this is to know how to pick the best place. You need to know the place first when it is full of people. So this is, up to here, this is advice for before you get into college, or when you're beginning there, like first semester. But then I'm gonna give you advice. Now I'm gonna give you advice for the classes. So this is good advice for anyone there, no matter what year you're in. Hopefully you get this advice in the first or the second year and not by the end, because by the end it's not too late, but this is the kind of advice that will do more good if you get it at the beginning. So first, for the classes, organize yourself and know what you have in storage, know what is available. So I'm pretty sure that every university has some sort of book that is sort of like a class catalog, like a freshman, underclass, beginning class. I don't know how they call it at university, but it's gonna be like a class catalog for that year, because they update it every year. And in that catalog, they're gonna have all the classes available. There will be many classes they don't even have anymore, or they are not offering them this semester or this year. But if they offer it, it should be there. So for the major that you have chosen, or for the path that you're thinking about, you should check out the classes available there. And if there's any class that interests you, you should go to to that department, to the main counselor for that major in that department, and figure out if they're offering it. If you need another class to be able to pick that one, if there's like a prerequisite class, if you can get that class, and let's say it's a class from a major that you're not in that major right now, you should see if you can take it as an elective. If you think it's gonna be an interesting class, if you think it's gonna be a class that you want to to learn more about that. So there are also, at least in my university they had that, but I'm pretty sure they have it for the others. There are also like maps, like PDF maps that you can find for the majors, where they show you the classes that you need to graduate from that major, and all the requirements and all the things you need. So you should get those maps with those classes for the major that you're in. And if you're very interested in another major, get it from the other one, and see if you can take one of those classes maybe as an elective. Be aware of what you need to graduate. Don't wait until someone tells you, because they won't. You're the one that has to be aware of what you need, and you have to be aware of how you're going to fill those electives in a way that's going to be the most beneficial, the most useful for you, and for your goals, for what you want to learn, for where you want to go. So electives. How are you going to fill those electives? So, people are going to recommend you to pick more classes from your major so that you learn more about your major. That's not a bad idea if you're in love with that major and you really want to learn more about those things, and you can think about anything else other than those topics. But in my opinion, the electives should be classes that you're gonna find interesting. Many people are gonna tell you pick electives that are gonna teach you something. if you're like me, if you're the kind of person that can learn on your own from a textbook, I recommend that if you want to learn something about some class, you just get the textbook from that class and read it. And then you use those electives to take classes that you find interesting, that may be, not just interesting, but also a good way to balance your schedule, because there might be a class that you will find interesting and that is also maybe a little less difficult than the other classes, especially if you are in a technical major. Like, for example, an intro to astronomy class. I took that as one elective. I love that class. It was easier than other engineering classes and programming classes, which is what I had back then. But it was also very interesting. And I didn't need the class. But I was very glad that I took it as an elective, because it was a topic that I enjoyed. The class was easier. The book was interesting. So at the end, everything, and even what I learned from that class, all of it was enjoyable and useful as well. So instead of taking another elective from the engineering sector, taking that one was a better idea for me. And if I wanted to learn more from the engineering sector, I could always look for the textbook for that class and get it and read it on my own and learn about that. So that's something that I really recommend. I know there are people that they need to be forced by a class to be learning about that stuff, but I strongly recommend, even to people that may need that you use your electives to balance things out, to make things more interesting. And if you are taking that class just for the sake of learning another skill for your major, like maybe another design class, you can learn it by getting the textbook and learning it on your own. I would recommend that, by the way. That's one of the ways that you can use to know if you really love and enjoy the major and that path career-wise. If you enjoy picking up books about those topics and learning those things even on your own, you're most likely in the right major and in the right path. Because if you were not, you will not enjoy that. So yes, I recommend that you use those electives to make your life more beautiful, okay? To make your life more interesting. Like my electives, for example, they were not business electives and they were not computer science electives, which were the two majors that I was into. They were things for fun, things that were interesting, and things that were also going to teach me something. Like I picked two philosophy classes, two intro philosophy classes. They talk a lot about the philosophers there, and they were pretty good classes. I took the astronomy class. I took an intro to genetics class, which was one class I shouldn't have taken because I didn't enjoy it. It was like a biology class at the end. So I enjoyed the astronomy and the philosophy classes much more as electives. So I recommend, yes, I recommend that you look for electives that you're going to enjoy. And very important, make sure that you really have to take the electives, because there are majors where you have electives that are forced. So you have to have this many business electives, you have to have this science elective. In that case, you have no choice, you have to take that as the elective. But there are other majors and other paths where they just tell you you need this number of electives and they can be anything you want. So in that case, make sure that you take things that you're going to enjoy and that are going to help you to balance everything out, and that may even give you a new experience. It doesn't have to be something crazy that you don't even like, just to have the new experience. But it can be something like the astronomy class that I took. That was very interesting. And I only needed one science elective. It could have been any other science class. But since I picked that one, I had much more fun, because that was a topic that I find interesting and that I enjoy. So that's what I recommend for electives. For clubs, there are so many clubs that are a waste of time. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be clear with this. There are many clubs that are a waste of time. There are many clubs that are too general for you to meet at this club people that are crazy about the same things that you're crazy about. So basically, it has to be a club or something very specific for you to really, meet a group of people at that club that are going to be a good fit for you, or even people that are similar to you. So for me, I was always so busy because I had many classes every semester. There was a time when I had night classes and I had a full-time job during the morning and the afternoon. So I didn't have time for anything. I didn't have a life during a couple of years at the university because I was so busy with everything. So I didn't even look at clubs. I didn't have time. But later on, like in my last year, when it was too late, I realized that I would have loved the astronomy club. So for a club, that's what I recommend. If you're gonna get yourself into a club, look for a club about something very specific, that is something that you definitely enjoy, something that you definitely like, so that you're gonna find a group of people that are like you. If you don't have such a thing, think before you waste time in clubs, because there are many general clubs that I know, because I went to a few times and they were a waste of time, to be honest. Like, if you really want to meet at the clubs, and I'm guessing that's the main reason why anyone will go to a club. That's why I would go to a club. I wouldn't go to a club for any other reason than to meet people that are similar to me, that will make good friends, right? So for that, you need to look for something very specific, something that for example, like right now, I'm not in college anymore. I'm not in the university anymore. I graduated 3 years ago, so it's been, a long time. Not too long, but it's been a long time since I finished. If I was still there right now, a really good club for me would be a writing club, because I've been into writing as a hobby for a very long time, and nowadays I'm very deep into it, even job-wise. So a writing club haven't been good for someone like me. But back then, when I was at the university, I was, like more scientific, more into science and into engineering and into business classes. So I wasn't thinking about writing clubs. It would have been great to be at a writing club back then. And but even back then, I should have joined the astronomy club, because that was something I really enjoyed. So I would have met other people that really enjoyed that as well. Okay, so how to do well? What do I recommend to do well in the classes? Okay, number one, you have to be able to organize your classes each semester in a way that's going to help you. So if you have some very difficult classes, and you have some classes that are much easier, like the electives, and you have some that are in between, you don't want to put all the hard classes in the same semester, or all the in between and the easy classes in one semester and be on vacation. That wouldn't be a good idea. It sounds really good, but the better idea would be to balance them. So maybe this class is really hard, so you can put them here in this semester, and you can put it with these other classes that are not that hard. Or these classes are like medium difficulty, so you can take like 2 or 3 of them and then something very easy. I don't recommend killing yourself with 6 classes a semester. That's too much. I did it twice. I survived, and I got an 8 in most of those classes as well. But it was crazy. It was madness, and I didn't have a life either. It was too much, really. So I recommend, if you're a smart person that can handle it, I still recommend 5 classes per semester, no more than that. If you're in a tough major, in a difficult major like computer science, for example, I will even recommend, if you think that there's a difficult semester, take 4 classes that semester. Don't make things too difficult for you by inundating yourself with classes, because you want to finish it in 3 years and a half or in 4 years. There are majors where that is not realistic. There are majors when it is better for you to finish it in 4 years and a half, and to not kill yourself taking so many classes every semester, because the classes are difficult. So even if you can think, if you're smart, it will be a lot if you're taking too many classes per semester. So don't think that you have to force yourself to do it in 3.5 years or in 4 years. If it goes one semester longer, don't worry. It's okay. It will be worse if you are overworked and killing yourself with all the classes. So I recommend, obviously, good organization with the difficulty. Be smart about it. If you're taking calculus and physics 1 with calculus this semester, don't take other hard classes. Those 2 classes already demand a lot from you if you don't know anything about the subject. You know, if you're one of those people that came with the AP classes from high school, you already know it. You went through it before. But if you're not like me, I only took AP Spanish and AP English in high school, and I didn't take any other AP class. And you know, back then I wasn't such a great writer. I passed the AP Spanish class with a 5 in the final exam, and the AP English with a 2. I didn't pass it. I became a better writer much later when I became more interested in it, and when it became a hobby for joy, because I really enjoyed doing it. It wasn't that way in high school. I didn't get into it until much later. So yeah, be smart about it. Mix hard classes with easy classes. Play around with the medium difficulty classes. Make a good and interesting schedule if you can. If you know this semester is going to be really dry, with classes that are not going to be so interesting but that you have to take, maybe put like an interesting elective in there so you can have a more interesting semester. Okay, how to do well. So number 1 is that organization. Learn and understand how you're going to organize the classes so you don't have to kill yourself with so much work, so you can have a more interesting semester in terms of the subjects that you have. Not just in terms of the people that you may meet in the classes and there, but also in terms of the classes that you're learning during that time. But in order to do well, it's not just about picking the right classes and knowing how to organize them. It's also about knowing how to study and knowing how to learn. So, what do I recommend for this? I'm gonna tell you what I did, which worked pretty well. I graduated with a 3.8 GPA, so I got an A in almost every class, pretty much. I got some B's because I am not perfect, but I got a pretty good handle of how to be successful in classes. So first of all, if you're not a genius, which is my case, and I'm pretty smart but I'm not a genius, you need to use all the tools at in your hands. Use everything you have. Use the sites where professors get rated. Rate my professors. So if you have the choice of building a schedule with good professors that know how to teach, that are good professors, not because they made the class easy, but because they are balanced in their difficulty, and they teach well, you're gonna have a better semester if you can make your schedule with those guys or those women teaching you, than if you make a schedule with the worst professors there. And it doesn't matter what university you're in. It doesn't matter if you're in the university that no one knows about, or if you are in one of the top universities. There will be professors that are people that don't know how to teach, and there will be professors that are people that are incredibly good educators. Guess what's gonna happen? The classes of the incredibly good educators are gonna get filled up pretty fast, not surprisingly. So what you need to do is be aware of who those are. Pick their classes as fast as you can. If one of those classes doesn't fit with your schedule, too bad. You will have to compromise, and you'll have to make choices. Sometimes you won't be able to get all the professors that you wanted or all the best ones, but at least you won't have a bad semester. There will be times when you won't have any other choice than taking one of the bad professors that doesn't teach well and that makes the class hard because they don't teach well, and then they come with hard tests. So in those classes, in order to be successful, you have to be able to pretty much learn on your own and almost teach yourself, almost. So what do you need for that? You need to buy the textbook. So you, and this is, I recommend this for every class, by the way. Buy the textbook that they're using, because in many cases the textbooks are written very well by people that explain the subject well. So you don't need to be a genius for that, but if you're moderately, like in a moderate way, a little smart, you can learn from the book. So read the book. You need the book for that. If you are in one of those classes that is like, killer difficult, cutthroat, like most people fail it, but you are in that major and that's what you love, and you have to pass the class, and the only guy teaching the class is that guy that's gonna make your life difficult. You know what you have to do in those classes? You get the main textbook, and you're gonna have to read that in order to pass. But if you still find it difficult, try to look for another textbook that explains the same material in the easiest way possible. I had to do that once in a class that I didn't even need, and I took it because I enjoyed math a lot. Right now I enjoy writing more than math, by the way, but I was a little obsessed with math back then. So I took linear algebra after calculus 2. And the textbook we had for the class was good, but it was, difficult textbook. So I got myself another textbook that was explaining the linear algebra concepts in a pretty clear way. And let me tell you something, I did much better in that class because I had that textbook. I also got myself a third linear algebra textbook with a solutions manual for that text. And let me tell you something, the 3 books that I got that were not the main book for the class saved my life in that class, because they taught me much more. So I learned more about the material from the other book and the solutions manual, and from the book that was super clear with the examples than with the one I have for the class, which wasn't too bad, but it was like for a master's degree or something, and I wasn't at a master's degree level. So yeah, look for resources that are gonna help you to pass those different classes, to do well on them. Yeah, you need to be resourceful. You need to look for the things that are gonna help you and get them. Not in the middle of the semester when you're having trouble, but since the very beginning. And don't be a procrastinator. I know that is very hard. Especially when you have friends that are not as busy as you because they are in easier majors. But don't let it go until the end, because you're not gonna have time to finish. Doesn't matter if it is a math class, an engineering class, or even one of these classes that has a lot of writing with 10-page papers and projects and things that take a long time, like group projects. Oh, I hated group projects. Group projects are a blessing when you manage to find yourself a really good group that is gonna help you. But they're among the most difficult things in college, when you have a group that is not there to help you and that is not working, or that they want to do everything themselves but they do it wrong. It's you're gonna have to get pretty smart at difficult group management to be able to do incredibly well in one of those classes. And I know because I went through classes like that. Okay, internships. This is more important than you think. Because what is the main reason why you're there, why you want to get that major, why you're going to those classes? Is it just for the love of learning? And I know if you're like me, you love learning. So part of it is for the love of learning. Or is it because you want to get a job in that major? It is because you want to get a job in that major. So guess what? If you can actually get a job before you finish, like an internship, because that internship is like a pretty word to name a job or a part-time job where they're not paying you anything, but you're still working. It really is that. A pretty word. Internship equals free work, but you're still working. That's what it is. So, but it is good. It is good because it means that you already worked in that. It means that you have some experience in that. And it means that even if it wasn't such a great job and such a great experience, when other employers look at it, they think the guy had, this great job there already in that field. So they must know something. The reality is that most of what you know is going to come from you. Some jobs would help, but there are others that don't help that much. In reality, it's you. How much are you willing to learn about that subject? How much do you love it to learn more about it? So, internships. What do I recommend? Don't wait until the end. Don't wait until your last 4th year to get the first internship. And also, look at what you're getting yourself into. Look at this internship stuff as I recommended looking at the universities at the very beginning. Have an interview, look at the people that are interviewing you, look at the place. Don't get yourself in a really bad place and a really bad job just because it is an internship, okay? Don't think that it is all perfect because it is already a job. So you need to check if it is the right internship for you, if it is a good internship for you, so that you're not wasting time there. Because, and that's something else. Even though I recommend having the first internship before you finish college or the university in your 4th year, there's a very high chance that you have to take less classes during the time of the internship, because the internship is a job and it will require time out of you. So there's no way that you will be able to have this internship of this job and keep a full schedule of classes at the university. If you do, you're gonna drive yourself crazy. It's gonna be too much. I know. I had something similar to that during 1 semester, and I couldn't keep going more than that. It was too much. I was reaching the weekends as if I needed 1 full day to sleep, and that there was no way to keep going like that. So I know from self-experience that if you already have an internship or even an actual job like what I had, because what I had was paid, so it was an actual job, you need to lower the number of classes when you have that. However, it is a good thing that you have that. Look at it as if it was 2 more classes and you're finally getting paid. Great, you're finally getting paid for the classes, right? So look at it that way, because at the end, it may even be more beneficial to you that little internship or that big internship, because it may be a lot of work. It may be more beneficial to you than the classes themselves. So look at it that way. Think of it, this is 2 classes or 3 classes here. So think of it that way. And it also teaches you what that job place, what that job field is about. You're gonna realize when you have your first job or your first internship that sometimes there are majors where the classes, they teach you things that you should know for the job, but the classes are very different from the actual job. Like, just to give you an example, it doesn't have to be that way, but this is just an example, okay? Let's say you have biology classes and you really enjoy the research part of biology that is hands-on, like in working with the environment and with the animals and with the plants and with all these things that you have learned. And let's say your major has many more classes dealing with that kind of thing than with the lab. But when you finish the major and you're looking for biology related jobs, everything that you can find is only lab related work. Lab, like a lab with a medical coat on, and it's definitely not at all like what you were doing in the environment or in the open. If you had been looking for an internship in that field before you finish, you will have figured out and you will have found out that it was like that in the jobs, that the jobs were not about the environment part, but they were about this other part which you didn't like. And by the way, that happened to me with the first professional path that I was taking, which was computer science programming, that happened to me. Like I was into many interesting projects, but then when I got into working into the first big job that I had, I realized that it wasn't that way in the actual job. So I didn't find out until I had that first internship that I didn't really love it that much. So that's what I recommend so much, that you have your first internship or your first job in the area before you finish, before the 4th year. The earlier the better. I think the end of the 2nd year will be a good moment for that. And I understand that you don't know a lot about the field yet if you haven't even had that many classes about it. But don't worry about that. Still look into internships and into some job that you may be able to get, because that will also teach you a lot. In some cases, it will teach you more than the classes. So I highly recommend it. Okay, let me see if I have something else to recommend you. I gave you most of the advice already, I think. If there's something important that I missed and that later on I want to recommend, I will come back to this video and I will put it below as a comment. I will write it there, more advice. But basically this is already a lot of advice. And let me give you one more. Let me give you something else. Something that I figured out, or that I found out during my last year. During the last semester, actually. Explore, if you're interested in sports, in some sport, like in my case, I was interested in tennis and in racquetball. I was much better at racquetball than at tennis, but I was interested in both. I wanted to get more into both of them. I didn't find out that my university had 2 wonderful and beautiful and professional racquetball courts available. I didn't figure that out. I didn't find out until the very end, pretty much, because I didn't go out of my way to research and to explore all the sports facilities that they had. Since I wasn't interested in most of the sports, I only care about the racket-based sports. I didn't even look into anything else because I was also very busy with my classes and with my job and all that, but I could have done it. And thankfully I didn't during my last semester. I did do it during the last semester. So I went into that and I researched, and then the research led me to find that in this hidden place, because they were hidden, unbelievable. They had them there, but they were hidden. They were not easy to find unless you knew that you were going to the racquetball courts and you were specifically looking for them. And they had those beautiful courts hiding, and I never even used them throughout the first 4 years, which is pretty sad because I enjoy the sport. And I found out about it the last semester, and the last semester I went there at least once or twice every 2 weeks. So yeah, at least once every week I went there, and I enjoyed it a lot. It was a nice extra to have, and I could have had it since the very beginning of my my years at the university. But since I didn't research all the sports facilities and all the things that were available, I didn't even know that my university had that. So make sure that you research everything that is available, so that if there's something that you do like a lot, you don't miss it. Okay, one more thing. There are certain resources that are sort of like hit or miss, but if they are hit, which means if they are good, you don't want to miss them. But they are not advertised openly, so it's the kind of thing that you have to find out that they are there at the university on your own. So if they have a career center, there are career centers that give talks with speakers. Sometimes the talks are a waste of time, but there are times when the talks are really good and they are really giving you great advice that may even be better than some of the classes you're taking. So, figure out if your career center has those talks, which ones you're interested in, when are they, so you can go there the day when they have it. Figure out if there's any other resource that your career center may have, like maybe you can find internships through your career center. It could be anything else. The career center may have something that will be good for you. Look at the events. Look at the events in your university. If you're interested in musical stuff, if you want to go to like some event from the music department where they're gonna sing and play instruments there, or maybe something that you like is gonna be played there. Like for me, I went once to a Final Fantasy music concert that was done at UM, at the University of Miami, and it was great. I enjoyed it a lot, but it was something very specific, so I wouldn't have fun about it if I had not been researching. And by the way, that wasn't even my university. That wasn't my university, but it was close to where I was going. So, and I found out about that event because I was researching about those things. That's what I found out. Otherwise, I would have never found out that little concert there about the kind of music that I like was taking place. So yeah, make sure that you're aware of the websites that you can go to find out about these events, about these places or locations, about anything that is going on that may be your cup of tea, that may be good for you. Like always, for any class, even for any university, for any internship, for any job, if you can go there and check out how the place looks, and check out the people there, and be aware of what you're getting yourself into before you jump, like completely, like dive into it. Do it so that you're aware of it. Look at rating sites. There are rating sites for jobs, for universities and professors. Nowadays, there are review and rating sites for everything. You know how things are. So it's good. It's good for us. Take advantage of that. And use it to your advantage. Be informed. Being informed is one of the most important things. Knowing yourself well and what you enjoy and what is best for you and what you're really good at. That's also something very important. That's key. That's key to success, by the way. So yeah, that's all the advice I can give you for now. And if you think about it, this advice is not just for college and the university, for classes. A big part of this advice is also advice for life. So I hope it can help some of you. For me, it would have been great if I had this advice before. By the way, English is my second language. So if you see me stutter at some points during my talks, it's not that I stutter, I don't. It's that English is my second language. So I'm giving here a talk in the language that is number 2. Obviously, if it was in Spanish, it would be, one notch up. But I can still do extremely well in English. I'm bilingual, pretty much. So yeah, I really hope that this is gonna help someone. I know it would have helped me if I could have taken like a little time machine and gone back 3 or 4 years when I was in classes and given myself all this advice. I'm glad that at least I can give you this advice now. And this is just going to be like a little video, a little part in this channel that I'm planning, with many more things and many bigger things that I'm planning right now, which are for entertainment and for writing, but like I said, and for storytelling. But like I said before, I also wanted to put here some videos that will be advice that will help people with the advice that I can give. And like I said before, if you think that you have a question that I may be able to answer, or you think that you would like to hear my advice, about some topic in particular or something in particular, let me know. Send it to me, and I will make a video like this, and I will answer to the best of my ability, and I will do what I can, to help you with my words and with my ideas. So just keep that in mind. I am not just about the writing and about stories. I think I can be a reasonably good speaker, and I think I really give great advice. I look back at my experiences when I give my advice, so I really give the advice from the heart. I want to give you the best I can. It doesn't matter if it is advice when the video is like this, or if it is a story when the video is about a story, or even if it is one of these top 10 videos that I can do. I try to put some good stuff there so that you will get something out of it, something useful, something entertaining, or just a nice 15 minutes just looking at what I came up with. I hope this helps you a lot. Especially the people that are beginning, people that are in their first year of college, people that are just getting started and that may not have anyone to give them advice about how it really is and about what can really help you. You're gonna find that there are many books that are sold that can help you. Some have a lot of really good advice, like that one that I showed you, the red book about what did you major in? I think that's the name. I don't know if that's the name or not. So I recommend that. But at the end, people that give you advice like this from the heart, those are the best. That's what I'm gonna leave you with.